Hello, everyone. Today we get a special episode, and I want all young kids, young players out there take some notes of this show today because we have a special guest, the guy who changed the way of European youth football. Kids right now have a real chance to go over in the United States. So when I was young, I had no chance. Of course, I had not the talent and the size to do it, but there was no way to go over there. And now with me again, my co-host, Coach Mele, and I give over to you to introduce our guest today.
Hope everybody's doing well, staying safe. I have the pleasure of introducing actually a really good friend of mine. I hold him dearly. It is Brandon Collier, CEO and founder of PPI, so Premier Players International. How's it going, buddy?
Everything is good, man. Thanks for having me on, guys.
It's a pleasure. How's the family?
Family's good, man. Son acting up a little bit. He wanted to use the computer, but I told him interview. But no, family's good, man. Kind of happy to be, sad about the coronavirus, but happy to be able to spend more time with my family because I was doing a lot of traveling. Went to Australia, was in Sweden, was in Serbia, all within 1 month time. So now I've spent the last month really enjoying my family. So, but ready to get back to work soon.
Where you are right now? In the States or
No, I'm living in Wiesbaden, Germany.
Oh, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
No, definitely. I was about to say that because since I know you, since you kind of began this, I believe back in 2014,
2013, I think we met. You was in Alagoy. I came for Wiesbaden. It was coaching in Wiesbaden for that year. I got injured, so I was coaching. So I remember we met in Alagoy 2013.
Right. So basically, since then you've been busy. So I could only imagine, at least for now. I mean, at least in a way, it's good for you to be at home, be with the family, kind of settle down because we all need this. I see you got the kettlebell in the background.
You know, doing a little at-home workouts here and there when I can.
Okay. And one of the big reasons we want to talk to you too, especially during this period, because everybody knows from what the most part they know about you in terms of Premier Players International (PPI) and your Dream Chasers tour that also is going to happen this summer, or God willing, something's able to kind of work out. But going to that topic, you are regarded as essentially, I mean, now they're calling you the ambassador, right? So you're basically the ambassador, the GOAT of European football. I mean, and I know people have asked. What was that?
I said, I'm going to run with it.
Hey, you could use it. It's a good name. It's a good name. It's catchy. But that's the thing where you basically built, and I'm going to call it, it is essentially, it is a movement. It is a culture that you have now built here where many from the very beginning said, this is not possible. In Europe, when players come up, they think what automatically? They think soccer. And you changed the mindset of many, if not all American coaches, especially at the top level, Division I, that there is talent out here.
Right.
My deal to you is like also going back until you growing up playing football and all that. I mean, it has to feel good, right? Like you have to give yourself a pat on the back at some point.
Yeah, for sure, man. To be honest with you, I don't think I probably give myself enough credit because I don't think about it like that. But when I sit back and listen to interviews and read articles and basically the messages I get from kids or some coaches that makes me like, damn, I really changed someone's life. I mean, of course, I grew up in inner city of Cleveland. Come from a single mom with 5 older brothers. So, it was kind of rough growing up. Like I said, we wasn't the poor. I wouldn't sit up and say we was the poorest, but we didn't have much growing up. I mean, my mother did much as she can to raise us. But like I said, I came from a environment where drug infested, crimes. I probably had, off the top of my head, at least 50 people I know got murdered. From me being born until right now, I know at least 50 people and probably 10 childhood friends that lives was taken earlier by gun violence. So I kind of used football. I didn't start playing football until I was 15 years old, to my I'll say sophomore year of high school. I played 2 games as sophomore. So I went to a suburban school just kind of illegally because I was riding past. I seen a green turf for the first time in my life. So I told my mom I wanted to play. So I knew somebody that lived in the suburbs, so I used their address to go to this school. But this person was dating my brother at the time, so they broke up. So this person went and told the school that I really didn't live there, like 2 games into playing football. So I had to move back to Cleveland. I was already living in Cleveland. I had to go back to Cleveland public school. Nobody really knows this story, to be honest with you. I haven't really told anybody about this, but went back to the Cleveland public school. Didn't play football that year. Then I went crying to my mom like, this is all I got. I want to play football. So she ended up moving to that same area with that school, fortunately for me, and kind of how I kind of started my football career. So I played there my junior and senior year, and ended up going to University of Massachusetts on a full scholarship after that. That's kind of how I got into really what I'm doing now, because I didn't have a coach that was helping me with my recruiting. I was doing it all on my own.
Okay.
I'm not going to sit up here and sound like I'm 50 years old, but we had to make cassette tapes. We didn't have Huddle or anything where I could send a link out or this. I used to wake up literally at 5 each morning for 3 hours out, because you had to take a tape. You had to have 2 VCRs. So you had to double a tape. You had to take 2 at one time. So my highlight tape was like, it was 1 hour, because I had 30 minutes of highlights and I had 30 minutes of one whole game on there. So I had to wait. So I could make 2 tapes every morning. So I wait 2 hours. Then, like I said, I would probably make between 8 and 10 a week. So I would I would mail these things out to coaches. I probably mailed out at least 50 tapes on my own. I mean, I had a job, so I worked all my money I had made. I sent to either buying cassette tapes or FedEx, and one night these tapes to coaches. So that's kind of how, like, really that's how I got into what I'm doing now, man, because it was a lot of work for me at this time, just doing my own recruiting. So it comes easy and natural for me right now because how much I worked back in the day on doing this.
How was that transition for you, being a guy that, let's say, because I've been there. I mean, that was basically for us at JUCO, where we had the 2 VCRs. I remember that, sitting there and having to put it up yourself, and if you fucked up, you had to redo it. Like, it was tough. You guys understand, like, Huddle nowadays, guys, like, that's taking so much work out of it already. But
right.
How was it a guy for you coming like that, where you basically weren't highly recruited, having to essentially dig a path for yourself to now go to UMass and then continue professionally?
Yeah, so, man, I'm not even going to tell a story exactly how I got my scholarship to UMass. I'm going to say that at a little later date. But like I said, I wasn't highly recruited because I went to a high school. I mean, a lot of coaches didn't come to it. They didn't have a Division I kid from this school probably in 20 years. I'm not sure, even longer. So no coaches really knew the school, and the coach didn't have any connections to get me. I mean, I was talented for sure, but they didn't have any connections to get me anywhere. So I took a phone book, because one of the coaches had a book with all the coaches' numbers in there. So I took this book from his office. He didn't use it, so he didn't care really. So I literally, for hours, called coaches every night. Some didn't answer, but the ones that did, I just told my story to, just kept telling my story to. And it's kind of like, I kind of wrote this on Twitter last week, or a couple of days ago, that I couldn't afford a phone, so I had a prepaid phone. So if I didn't have money to put on there, a coach couldn't get in contact with me if they liked me. So a week before signing day, like I missed on an offer from Indiana, and 3 Power 5 offers I missed on because I didn't have a phone because the coach seen the tape late, and he called me and said, okay, we want to give you a scholarship. So I didn't have a phone to even answer. A week after I signed with UMass, I was able to pay the phone bill, and I had the voicemails of 3 Power 5 coaches, and they give me scholarships. And I was literally in tears because, I mean, UMass was an FCS school at the moment. I mean, if I can go back again, of course, I'd love to play Ohio State, but, I mean, I wouldn't change me going to UMass because it was the best time of my life. I mean, really, like, I worked really hard for this scholarship, not only, like, on the field as talent, but I really gave 6-7 months of my own money and my own time. Like, I didn't do anything else but call coaches and make highlight tapes. That's it. I did that for about 7 months straight. So, I mean, once I got that scholarship, man, I'm first person from my first time on a plane was my official visit to UMass. Never been on a plane before. Never been out the side of the state of Ohio until my visit to UMass. So, I mean, it was – so to be honest with you, getting that scholarship was everything for me. Of course, I mean, I was crying because I missed out on bigger opportunities. But at the end of the day, man, I was getting a free education in school that I wasn't complaining about it.
Right. How was it playing for a guy like, was it because your DC was Don Brown, right? It's currently
my head coach there was Don Brown. So he was pretty much a DC as well there. He's the DC at Michigan. I mean, when I went on a visit there to UMass, I mean, he sold me as his #1 recruit. So that's kind of, I mean, I had another offer, Youngstown State, and I had some MAC schools that came really that last week. But I still decided to go to UMass because, like I said, he sold me as his #1 recruit, and I mean, I love his intensity, man. And just playing for a coach like that, I mean, I knew that he would excel one day. My D-line coach, he was the D-line coach at Penn State for the last 6 years, and now he's the New York Giants D-line coach. So, I mean, I knew that me playing for these guys, I was going to get an opportunity because, I mean, I knew they was up-and-coming coaches. I mean, Coach Brown was a little older, but I knew that he was much bigger than UMass, so I'm not surprised about the success he having at Michigan. And, I mean, I started 4 years, started all 4 years, man, so it was a great, I mean, it was all conference 3 years. So I feel like I had a great career.
Definitely. I mean, would you say guys like Don Brown and your position coach were also like father figures, since you said you grew up in a single parent household with your mom?
Yeah, yes and no. The reason I say no, because I don't know what a father figure is. I mean, I never even grew up with her, so I don't. I mean, my mother is my father figure, so so they could never treat me as good as she. Mm-hmm. But I mean, if they was male figures, but so for me, I would say it's more easier for a person that grew up with a father to say another person is a father figure because they know what that is. But me not growing up with a father, I didn't know what a father figure was. So I think, but they were male figures in my life that I say, I mean, they helped me on my journey, and I still talk to them even past recruiting. I still talk to them periodically and keep good relationships with them, man. But like I said, it was a blessing playing for some great coaches, to be honest with you.
Definitely. And then now talking, now you had the opportunity, the privilege to make the jump essentially straight to the NFL, right? Was it with the Eagles first?
Yeah, it was. Well, kind of how that worked out. I mean, people probably don't even know this story either. I mean, so my senior year, man, I was getting a lot of scouts was coming in talking to me. Man, I had a very good season, but I had tore my pec and really couldn't even move, couldn't move my arms, and later in that year, so I ended up going. So after the season, I did pro day, did really well at the pro day, man. But I failed the physical when I went to take one with a team, and I failed the physical. So I ended up going to Vienna, Austria in 2011 because I missed. So I graduated in 2010, missed that whole year rehabbing my torn pec. And then I went to Austria January of 2011, and I mean that's when I played against Shuan with he was with the Raiders at the time. We lost to them, and I think two of the championships or something. But I mean I was healthy, man. I had a good season, so I wouldn't really say I sent this film to the NFL with my agent. I didn't send it, but I more so show people that I'm healthy. So the Eagles was interested in me out of college. But so after so let me take it. After Vienna, I went home in July. Really, man, I was down there homeless at that point. I was really going back to nothing. Let's just say that I probably had $1,000 to my name. Like, that's it. Now one of my best friends from college, EJ Barthel, he's a running back coach with the Carolina Panthers right now, but he was a trainer at that time. So I went to train with him and really stand on his couch for about 2 months and for about a month. Then I went there. So July 1st, then August 1st, he was gonna move. So he told me, man, man, I gotta. What do you say? You're gonna have to go. So you're gonna have to go back home somewhere because I'm moving out. I ain't really got nowhere for you to stay. So shit, I'm like, damn, I don't really got a home to go back to. So kind of like a story I tell some people. I told some people in the spiritual world. I started praying to God, like, man, I don't know what to do. I don't have no money. Didn't even have a phone at this time. Didn't even have a cell phone. So I have no money, nothing. I don't know what I'm gonna go back to. So literally, I'm in tears praying to the Most High, like, man, do something for me. So this is a true story. The very next day, my agent couldn't even get in contact with me because I have a phone. So he called EJ. I don't even know how he knew we was together, but he called EJ and said the Eagles wanted to sign me. And literally, I was about to go. He was kicking me out. Really wasn't kicking me out. I was kind of overdid my stay, but he was telling me I had to go. So when he gave me the phone, like I wasn't in shock because I prayed about it. But I'm like, damn, God, you really real up there. So
Yeah.
EJ ended up driving me because the camp was in Lehigh. It was in Lehigh, Pennsylvania. So it's about an hour or two from where we were staying at in New Jersey. So he drove me there, man, and shit, the rest is history. To be honest with you, man, I came from there my first day of practicing, man. I had 3 sacks on Michael Vick. I mean, not really tackled, but I beat guys to be like I was making it. I mean, I was so hungry because really I knew if I didn't make it right now, I don't know what I'll be doing the rest of my life. So I mean, I went in there, man, really like the first 3-4 plays, the practices, man, was like people, man, like, damn, where did you come from? And like they was writing articles, like, and they was like, man, I was like, damn, I was just playing in Europe. And they was like, man, no way. Like it was crazy. Like they was looking at me like, damn, this guy belongs here. So, but unfortunately, the 5th practice I had broke my ankle. So ended up, I don't know how it happened, man. Somebody, like every time I think about it, like it gives me goosebumps. Like, but somebody rolled up on my ankle and it was unfortunate, but man, to be honest with you, man, that changed my resume forever, changed my life forever. Man, I ended up getting an injury settlement from them, so they had to pay me money just because I got hurt. So I mean, so after that, I mean, that experience, I mean, like I said, it was a once in a lifetime, and that I would never. I mean, I could tell my kids about, man. So I mean, I still got the checks from them sitting up in class because I mean it was still got my contract and things like that. But unfortunately with football, well, I only had a 1-year deal. So after the rehab and stuff, of course they let me go, and I ended up going to playing in Canada. I ended up going to playing in Canada in Winnipeg. The next year and a half, I got let go from them in the summer, right before I came to Wiesbaden. So after I started in Canada for a year. Ended up playing. I mean, I was back and forth with injuries, some leg injuries. My ankle didn't heal as good as I wanted it to be because I kind of rushed it, just trying to get back. But ended up going to Wiesbaden where I met you the year after. So that's kind of how I went from NFL to the CFL and to. So I mean, I kind of appreciated the European football just because they gave me a platform to showcase myself when, I mean, it's no really farm leagues for the NFL. So it's kind of European. I kind of use that as a spring farm league to get to the NFL.
Right. And you talk about, because I read about a couple times and a few articles about you where they talk about, and also I believe you wrote this also somewhere in your website, where when you had your first exposure to football out here in Europe and Germany per se, you realized like, oh shit, these guys can play ball.
Yeah.
You know, like they're like, some of these guys need to be in the States.
Yeah, for sure. So that's kind of one of, so like I said, how it started me having a love for what I do came from my senior year in high school. Because like I said, I didn't play much, to grinding and loving the process. Like, I love to wake up early in the morning to make these takes. Like, I wasn't complaining. Nobody was doing it for me. It was the grind and the process that I appreciate the most. At the end, when I got that scholarship, I could say, damn, no, I really had to do this on my own. I mean, of course, I would love to have had an easier process, but I wasn't complaining about it. So it kind of so going back to you, what's your question again? I'm sorry.
Talking about in terms of like your first exposure coming out here to Europe.
Okay.
There is talent here. Yeah.
So when I first got to Vienna, they had, I mean, it's about, I think it was at that time the best European club. I mean, them and Swarco Raiders and probably Berlin. I don't know, a couple other teams. I mean, they was one of the best clubs in Europe. But the Austria rules and difference from the Germany rules is, I think guys can play men's team at 17 or 17 or 18 years old. One of them.
Yeah.
Like, I know in Germany you got to be 19 or 20 to start playing. But out there you could be 17 or 18. So I'm going up against a guy in practice. He ended up going to college, Alexander Milanovic. He was only 17 or something. And I mean, not that I was struggling with him but it wasn't easy. I wouldn't say it was just a walk in apartments. Mm-hmm. Like, he's the same age as a high school guy that I was going against in high school, and I was walking through guys in high school, but I couldn't really walk through this guy. He was a big guy that was physical. So he kind of gave me like, damn, these guys are pretty decent. But I would say the guy from Swarco, from the Raiders, they had a young kid. I think he was 17 or 18, man. I forget his name, but he was 6'5", 6'6", 300-some pounds. And this fucking guy, when he hit you, like, I already felt it. I would have thought he was my age. When I found that he was 17 or 18, I'm like, damn, like, there's no way this guy is not. Like, seriously, like my talent, I felt I could play at Ohio State or one of them. But I'm like, damn, this kid, I couldn't. If I was 17 and this guy was 17, there's no way I could get past this kid.
That's definitely what I saw also, like, with 2014 when I started coaching, and I remember I got invited from Swarco and Mele to go check out their camps and help out. That's the first thing I saw. I saw 17-year-old kids, like DBs, balling like they were 25-year-olds, like hanging around. And that's what took me aback. I was like, that's the first time I saw, and don't get me wrong, coming from Algoy when we were second league, we won and we moved up. But I hadn't seen guys that caliber until I stepped into Austria. And I was like, where are these kids coming from?
Right. Yeah, definitely, man. So I think one, and then it was a couple other young kids on that Vikings team, Loreno. He was 17 years. He was a rookie on that team. You know Loreno Welch?
Loreno Welch, yeah.
He played
Universe.
He played with me in Universe, is what ended up coming to play with me. But he was a young kid that was 17 years old that was fast. And he was asking me, man, can you help me get to America? You know, at that time, I mean, I wrote a couple coaches, but it wasn't really serious because I was really focused on my career. But that's the kind of in 2011, that's when I really get that thought. One day, I want to help these kids out here. So that's kind of how it started.
So then ultimately, you ended up at Frankfurt Universe, and I believe that's where kind of like it blossomed, right? With the Frankfurt Universe?
Yeah. So in when I was in Frankfurt, when I went to Wiesbaden, when I was injured that year, I was helping and training some guys, and they had a pretty good deep tackle. I was calling some coaches I knew back home. Can you look at this kid? Can you look at this kid? And I mean, they was looking, but it still wasn't taking it so serious. And I wasn't so pressed on it like I am now or when I started. So in 2014, continued. I was playing in Frankfurt. Actually, I played in Swarco, played with the Raiders in 2014 for a few games to the Big Six. Then I came and coached in Frankfurt. Then 2015 is when I first played in Frankfurt. So that's kind of when it started to become even more of a reality and things like that. So in 2016, somebody sent me a message on the kid. Actually, I was refereeing a game in an All-Star game that was in Hanau, and they had a kid on the Belgium team named Thibaut Debaye, that I seen for the first time. Like, damn, this kid is explosive. He's fat. And in my back of my mind, during it, I shouldn't be saying this, but during this whole game, I'm just really watching him. I'm referee. I'm a side judge, but I really watch it. I'm critiquing his game as a referee for the whole game. He didn't know this, but even I see him on kickoff, man, because this is the men's team. This is a men's game. He was the youngest guy on the team, but I've seen on kickoff, he's the fastest guy down there, and he's big. It's like, damn. Back in my mind, like, this is the guy that's going to take it over the top. This is the guy going to be that first guy to get us through the door, so to say. So that's kind of how, when I seen him, I'm like, yeah. Then I exchanged numbers with him after this game. Then his dad, he's from Belgium, on the coast of Belgium, and I was living in Wiesbaden. So I said, okay, I drive 2 hours and you drive 2 hours. So we met in Aachen, Germany, just fucking found a local scrappy park and just put them through some drills. I filmed it, and I started shooting this out to coaches, and they like, damn, like this kid is explosive. So I mean, you want me to elaborate more on that, or you want to go to another?
You go a little more. You keep
okay. So I called my coach that coached D-line, that coached me on D-line. He was at Penn State. He's the D-line coach at Giants now, but he was at Sean Spencer. So I'm like, man, you got to see this kid. So he said, man, I love the film, but our head coach not going to sign off on the kid unless we see him live. So I called Tebow parent dad, like, man, you got to get this kid to the States. You have to. So we ended up flying him to the States and working out at the Penn State camp. Did well, didn't run as great as they wanted me. He just came off playing. I think he ran a 4.9 because I told him he ran a 4.7, which he was around probably a high 4.7 kid, but ended up running a 4.9. But when you at Penn State, can't be a DN running a 4.9. They need 4.7 kids. This is kind of the criteria to look at. But he did, but he's like, man, this kid can play. Actually, he's like, man, I would love for him to play another year and try again next year. That's how much I like him. But he ended up going to a camp at Towson, which was close by, and he did very well at his camp, got a scholarship on the spot. And I had another coach that's at Albany that I called and said, you got to offer this kid. And Coach Spencer from Penn State called the coach and said, yeah, if I'm you, I'll offer this kid. And he ended up getting a couple offers and decided to sign with Towson in December or January December of 2016.
So you would say that's basically where it started off, right?
Yeah, that's where it started.
Because now we're looking at however many years later, and it's from what you posted yesterday, 61 scholarships now with Philip, my guy from Razorbacks in Firsty. You know, like my deal is like this whole process, because like you talked about, you're a guy that enjoys the process, and you try to instill this in your guys also to tell them, hey, if I see right off the bat film-wise that I think you have what it takes, you got to trust me, trust the process, and I'm going to take you there. How does it feel for you in terms of, because that's essentially for you, right? Like we just already talked about it. Like there's multiple people that said whatever you were doing was basically stupid.
Yeah.
And now you look at it 61 full rides later. I mean, that has to like, it's a shock, right? Because like we said already, you changed the culture, European football.
Yeah, but man, to be honest with you, we dealing with different cultures, man, and whether we like it or not, I have to respect it, you know what I mean? Because not saying this in a bad way, but I'm still don't get the credit I think that I deserve for helping change the whole landscape of youth football and how not only kids view themselves or coaches out here, but how the Americans view the whole situation out here now. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to get coaches opportunities one day from out here. It's going, and the players, it's going to create so many different opportunities and avenues for so many people that, I mean, I would hope that people start to appreciate the work one day, man, because it's not easy. Like literally I'm on my phone, like me and my girl arguing every day because I'm on my phone because, you know what I mean, because if I find a kid, I gotta help this kid. You know what I mean? Like regardless, it's just in me. Like, I can't stop it. You know what I mean? It's like it's obsession, like where, you know what I mean? Like the drive in me, like I need to help this guy. I know, I mean, because if I put my name on the line for you, I'm going to do everything I can to get you there. But like I said, to go back to that question, I mean, but I do get more respect and credit from the American side where people know, like, damn, this wasn't easy, or, you know what I mean? Like I said, like I got an interview. Actually, I'm jumping on a podcast with Andy Staples, one of the biggest guys for podcasts. Actually, I think tomorrow we jumping on. But these guys recognize what has been done out here, man. So I'm just hoping that, I mean, the kids appreciate that. At the end of the day, the kids do appreciate it. But you also get some kids that don't understand the amount of work that was put in, because it looks easy from the outside, but they don't understand that without a certain person putting their name on the line for you, this would, I don't care how good you think you are or somebody say you are, it takes a lot for somebody to trust this person, man. So with the trust I've built up over the last 3 years with coaches, man, if I see a talented kid, I can probably it's a high chance he's gonna get a scholarship.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you are the first guy who go the other way. In Europe, everyone thinks what we need to do to get guys over here. You know, how I get in touch with an Ohio State guy, and you are the first guy who say, you have talent, let me help you. I bring this kids over there. So let's say I'm 16, 17 years old. What I should bring on the table, what I should bring to get in touch with you, to say, as you say, you have a real chance of a scholarship. Of course, what the kids don't see is grades at school.
Right.
Say, coach, I'm 16, I can bench press 100 kilos 15 times. But what is about school? What is about this? You say you have a real chance to go over there.
Yeah, man, to answer that, I mean, I've been doing this. I mean, I've been blessed with an eye for talent. I mean, not to toot my own horn, but I really got an eye for things. And within 5 minutes, I can tell if a kid can play Division I football. I mean, really fast. I can just tell by certain. Of course, if you're 15, maybe 16, your level of growth could be. I mean, you got a window longer. But if you're 17, 18, right away, I could tell if you could play at that level. So. But, I mean, speaking on what you talk about, I mean, academically is very important, because the one fortunate thing, especially German kids, they usually do pretty well in a classroom and compared to American school system. So I never really had a problem so much. But the thing that the kids do run into problems with is when they 18 years old and they decide they want to play college football, it's kind of late on some things because you didn't take certain classes where you went into the workforce. Okay, I want to study architecture, but I'm only taking architecture classes. But the sad part with the NCAA is they don't really care. We had a kid, for example, from Austria. He was a certified accountant, but he didn't have all his core classes because he didn't take the right maths and sciences, so he wasn't eligible. Although he's smart enough and can pass through college pretty easy, he wasn't able to play his first year because he didn't know these rules. So the earlier you get in touch with us, I would say around 15 years old, is 14 to 15 is probably the prime ages where you try to get started, because you enter in high school, so you need to know which classes to take. But like I said, in Germany, it's a lot better than some other countries in terms of the education. But we had a kid out of Finland, man. He had a full scholarship to Florida. They wanted him to sign right then, but he couldn't because he didn't have the right. He was taking security classes. He wasn't taking the right classes, and I mean, now he's at home right now, and man, a kid could have been playing in the swamp for one of the best coaches in America, Dan Mullen. I mean, like it's so that's one thing. That's one example I give. And but at the end of the day, is one thing I would tell all the young kids out there: make sure you preparing yourself. Get with trainers. Like, don't. I mean, one thing about European kids compared to American kid or American parents, Americans, we invest in our kids a lot more. I don't know why. Maybe because education ain't free, so we feel, okay, if we invest for X amount of years, and okay, we'll put this money aside. If you get a scholarship, it pays off. If you don't, at least we try. At least it's an investment. But the Europeans, I would think that if they invest more into their futures with football, whether it's trainers, whether it's I don't know what it is, some type of investment, I think you'll be better off in the end. Just because, I mean, we all had trainers and stuff. You need that work.
And that's true. I mean, that's something where we've looked at it where, I mean, you see there's a lack of it, you know, and that's in terms of, I mean, you know me, I also come from the strength and conditioning background, and I was doing that. And also talking to other coaches where you see the difference in the States just in terms of strength and conditioning compared to Europe. Don't get me wrong, there are really good coaches, and I had one of my best friends yesterday on who was one of the top strength coaches in Poland, if not the best. But you see that huge discrepancy, you know, and also kind of looking at it where it's like, I mean, also, I think it also comes down to also misinformation as well, where these kids don't know what they need. They think, oh, I need to train like a bodybuilder. I'm ready to go. And we know this, and this goes now even further where you're talking about preparation. Like, you need to be on an adequate strength and conditioning program with a proper coach that can get you ready not only to play, so the physical demands of the sport, but also what now? And we have combines, and we have what? Also down the road now with the Dream Chaser store. Like, you have on the field. If you're not ready for that interview, that's a shot right there. Like, can you run the 40? Because the second you line up, and we know this when I've been helping with you since the beginning, we know off the bat if these kids know how to run the test or not. You have to understand, like, when you get invited or you know there's a combine, shit, we said all the time, go look on YouTube. There's videos for days.
They get it easy right now, man, with the YouTubes and stuff. We didn't, I mean, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm vintage, but we didn't have YouTube when I was growing up. I couldn't say how do you run a 40-yard dash? Somebody instruct me for 20 minutes on how to do it. But that's what I would say. I would say the Scandinavian countries are way more prepared for these type of things. Like, every time I go to Sweden or Denmark, these guys know how to run these tests. But in Germany, you'd be surprised that these guys never did this stuff before. Like, and I don't know what it is. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm blaming the kids because they have, if you really want this, all you got to do is go on YouTube and find. You can't blame your coach for it.
Yeah.
You can go on YouTube and find out how to do this you can go read a book. I mean, people got instructions. Yeah, so it's pretty simple to learn some things today, man. And
no, you're right. It's funny you mentioned it because I remember back when I was at JUCO and I was studying, you know, kinesiology, but where your boy Bartel was at DeFranco's. That's the first time I got exposed to DeFranco's. And you know what I did? I bought his PDF and the video. How to beat all the combine tests. And back in the day, and they ended up changing it because they knew all his guys coming through DeFranco's gym were beating the tests. I literally went out there. I remember training for that for our combine that we had then in May. You know, and it's funny that you say that. It's like I went out there, and even whatever money I was getting from my Pell Grant, I'm like, I spent that shit on getting ready for combines.
Right.
You know, I bought a sled, I bought videos, I bought, you know, PDFs. You know, now the shit's gone, but, you know, I spent my money in it. And to be honest, I even say it now, I'm like, it was worth it because nothing against our strength coach, but you know, we didn't have a guy that.
That's not what he specialized in. He don't specialize in that. His next job is not to specialize in that. It's other people got them type of jobs to specialize in that.
Right, and we've been talking about it too. And now with the CFL combines out here in Europe, I mean, I was at the one in Paris, and I spoke to you too. I mean, the head scout from the CFL was also like, he was taken aback because this is the thing, right? You had all these French players who, there's a reason why the CFL, NFL, they're scouting in, let's say, France and now in the UK, because you have dogs. You have talent. Raw talent, but you have talent. And what was stunning was these guys would walk up, right? Line to run a 40, even let's say bench press, for example, even their technique on that, or to run the 5-10-5, or even vertical jump. And you're looking, you're like, these guys aren't ready. Prepare. And they would test bad. But the funny thing was, we'd go to individuals after, and what do you see? You got a guy that can ball. So that was the big thing in the green light, and I believe you spoke to him as well after that in terms of there needs to be some sort of specialized programming preparation out here to get these top guys ready to perform for some sort of CFL.
Man, listen, I'm sorry to cut you off, But if you ain't prepared to go make $1 million in the NFL, I don't feel sorry for you, man. If you can't invest some money or you can invest some time to get prepared for an NFL tryout, where you got Americans that'll die for that tryout, but they don't get that opportunity. And most of them are better than the Europeans, but they don't get the opportunities because people want to try something new now. And if you're not, man, you got to be crazy to tell me you're not prepared for something that can earn you money. Like that's really. I mean, like I said, even when I got combines out here, if I see a kid not prepared, I don't even look at him no more, because if you didn't have to take the time to get prepared for something like this, man, I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, you're right. I mean, like you just said, it's not only like for an NFL contract or a CFL contract, it's also for the opportunity to play in the States.
Get it, man.
That's what it is, right? This is what guys understand out here in Europe, the difference. You get one shot. You get one shot. Americans would die to have that invite that a lot of these countries had at that CFL tryouts for their respective countries. It's like, it's there for your taking. You got nothing else to fucking do.
Man.
You know? The hard part
and the great thing is you got guys like yourself, guys like myself, and either other guys that specialize in this type of training. But kids don't want to. That's too much money. What is too much? It's too much money to pay. I don't know, $500,000 to go make $100,000. You want to invest $2,000 to make $100,000?
Yeah.
It's not worth it for you. That's what I mean, and that comes where. That's kind of how, like, when we can start talking a little finances. I mean, like, that's kind of how I came into what I'm doing, is because, let's be honest with you, man. Like, I don't need to call out any names or anything, but to be honest with you, I'm not supposed to. I wouldn't say I'm not worthy, but I'm saying how it's all set up, especially in the European style. I wasn't supposed to come out here and have the success I had with all these kids. But the reason I was, because some other organization first started, is strictly about money. Mm-hmm. That was their only goals, is money. So when you charging a kid, when you first started, somebody was charging the kid $500 just to watch their highlight tapes. Mm-hmm. I mean, and what that said is, that's kind of, I never had the thought of charging these kids anything, but I knew that I can excel because I have the relationships, the connections, and I'm not after their money. So that's kind of how I was able to sustain it, because I didn't have any help out here in Europe. No coaches was sending me kids. I was out here. I mean, just imagine if these coaches was sending me all their kids, there'd be 1,000 kids playing college football right now. But they wasn't sending me kids, so I had to grind and really depend on, trusted people like yourself, Mele. Okay, if you see a kid, okay, recommend this kid. But it wasn't happening often, but I started hosting camps and things like that, and more kids started coming and things like that. So, and that's kind of how I had a big outcome at the camps, because they knew I wasn't charging them money to help them, so they'll come to camp and pay the $50, $60. Because, okay, if I pay this $50, that's probably all I have to pay moving forward, instead of, okay, you get a scholarship, here goes $2-3 grand. I'm not charging the kid that. So
right, and that's what stuff don't realize with you. And I've been there with the process. I've been literally a fly on the wall, and I've been grateful to do that, because one thing I can say I noticed is you do this out of the goodness in your heart. Mm-hmm. You're a good human being. And I mean, that's what, at least like for me, has helped me also along with my coaching career, because like you were saying, like what you're doing is not only helping players, but also coaches. Like, to be honest, if I hadn't been around you or exposed to you, I most likely would not be where I'm at just coaching wise. This is me just honest. Not that you made the calls that, but it's like, iron sharpens iron. And I'm a type of guy, I need to be around people that also are high goal oriented, that want to also change the game out of the goodness of the heart. I'm not in this shit. I mean, you know this too. Like, we don't get paid shit.
Right.
No doubt. A lot more money as a GA if I wanted to, or as an assistant coach at some JUCO, But I'm not, because I want to help out the game, like what the game did for you, what the game of Europe did for you and for ourselves.
Right.
I noticed, right? Because also, like, I remember in the beginning of the process, even when I was at Hall, even Jordan Newman would ask me, because, like, I believe he knew you from Vienna, right?
Yeah.
And he wasn't sure, like there was talk going around, like the
Right.
guy's taking money, and I told him, no, he's not. Because like the topic came up with Alex Hundick, who's now going to TCU, and he's like also one of your biggest guys, you know, in the face of PPI. And I remember even being at their house, and they're great people. Like his parents, the reason why he's able to get there, and we all know this, like they've been willing to invest whatever they've been able to spend time, money, effort. They even go themselves. They went themselves, right, to the Dream Chasers tour and all that.
So let me hit on 3 points real fast before I forget about them. So let's start with, we said something before that, but we'll start with the Jordan Newman, which he was the OC when I was at Vienna. So we wasn't close because Jordan, as you know, Jordan, he wasn't the head coach at the time. So OCs are strictly with OC, they're officer people. So we had respect for each other, for sure, because he respected how I worked and I respected his craft. So when I first started PPI, you know, Slippery Charles is one of the teams with some of the most youth talent. So of course I love to crack it and things like that. So as I'm trying to help some of the kids, none of them reaching back, none of them following through, trying to get to college, I'm assuming. So I met Jordan when I got hurt. I think I seen him in 2016 after I got injured, and he came to me and really just, he said, man, he was up front. I want to be honest with you. I want to know what's your business, like what are you trying to get out of this, pretty much. And after I explained to him, I think he found a respect for me in terms of things. So I seen him again last year. Actually, last year it was kind of the same question. Then I think as years go past, he couldn't find any dirt. Like, damn, no one said he's taking these kids' money. So he actually messaged me about a month ago, like, I got a kid that wants to go to America, and I feel you the best in the business at this, and that's why I'm reaching out to you. So I mean, that to get approval from one of the top coaches in Europe, man, that was big, and I'm definitely appreciative of it, man. So that's kind of how I'm trying to hope that coaches can understand that I'm really out here trying to help these kids, man. And I mean, it's over 60 kids, 61 kids got scholarship. Not one can tell you that they pay me any money to get the scholarship. If I had this same business in America, I'd probably be a millionaire right now.
100%.
I got a friend of mine that sent the kid to Yale. I'm not gonna call his name, but that family paid this guy. I won't even say the number, but a number that most people in Germany won't even make a year.
Yeah.
Let's just say, and that's what the international kids got to understand. They should appreciate that. I mean, like I said, a guy going to Notre Dame, a guy going to Yale, a guy going to Michigan off of somebody else's name. Of course, they got to have talent and coaching and stuff like that. But talent and coaching alone don't get you a scholarship. You better have a third party, a network or something like that, especially from an international. So like I said, these scholarships costing $250,000, along with you getting about $4,000 to $5,000 per year for cost of attendance. So this divided by 4 years, that's an extra $20,000 going on top of that. Free food, clothes, and all of this to him, let alone alumni networks and things like that. So this is really $500,000 in money that they're getting. That if somebody is in America and they could tell my son, I promise you he can go to Yale, I'll probably give you $50,000 or $100,000 here. If you can promise my kid can get in a school like Yale or Michigan where I know leaving out of that school, he's going to make 6 figures or even more, is worth the investment. 100%. Not saying that I'm looking for them to do that, but just saying that they should be, I hope they're appreciative of, and the coaches should be more appreciative of what we're doing for the kids moving forward, because it should be only about the kids. And that last thing, what you hit on last, Mele, you remember?
Man, I don't even remember anymore. I said a lot of things.
You hit on something that I wanted to, it was after Jordan. Then
I don't remember.
We'll move forward.
One thing I wanted to drop real quick was also about that topic where you're kind of talking about, like, just out of the goodness of people's hearts and want to help out people, because at the end of the day, you got to trust the process and there'll be a return at some point, you know. Especially like we want to help these guys out. And I remember one topic too, bringing it up. I won't talk about more particulars, but I'm going to have him tomorrow on the show. Is Demi? He's at URI, and he came from First D. And I remember him being told, "Oh, he's never going to make it," from national team coaches, and he went to Clearwater Academy, became one of the best fucking centers in high school ball. He gave up no sacks his whole career there. Broke every single offensive line record, basically like top pancakes. And now he's at URI playing ball. And I remember at the time, like, he would ask me, he's like, "Hey, I got this guy. He wants me to pay him up front just to check out my tape. Like, should I do it?" And I'm like, I said, "Bro, like, you know what? Fuck it. You know, there's other ways to go around it. Like, you shouldn't have to pay that much money," because I knew what he was going through at home. Like, he was already in a troubled home, money issues, money was thin. And I'm like, to be honest, there's no point. And now I look at him where he's at now, like, he's already at URI his second year, you know, and because he trusted the process at the end of the day.
Right.
You know, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day, you know. And
it is, man. It definitely is, and like I said, that comes from, man. I would tell you, even moving forward, there will be a lot of kids moving forward that benefit from these 3 years of hard work. And probably someone would think like, "Damn, I got this scholarship of my own," or "this person helped," but they need to look into this first because the ground is what really builds it, man. These kids that's in school right now is really laying the foundation on, because you see a lot of people even starting new organizations because they say, "Oh, I can capitalize off of this. I can capitalize off this success right now that's happening," because they understand that it's a lot of coaches looking to the international game now because we have built it up, man. And like I said, not saying I did it alone. I'm not going to sit up here and say I did everything alone, but I can tell you this. No one has put in more work than me for these international kids. No one.
I've seen it firsthand, even a couple years ago with the USA versus Europe All-Star game. We're at the Basin B spot, and that was a huge event. I hope it's in the future again. I know a couple people were upset we didn't have it. No, but just seeing all of it, right? Like, you see the blood, sweat, and tears, right? And now we talk about the yearly event that you have a year that everybody in Europe, all the kids that want to go play ball, they look forward to, and it's the Dream Chasers Tour. And in my honest opinion, a lot of these kids, and we see it, they think, "Oh, I made it," and they don't understand, like, "Oh, that's just the next cut." That's literally, and we kind of talked about it in the pre-call. That's like an employer calling you and saying, "Hey, I'm going to give you an interview in a week. Be ready." And they don't understand that, like, the real work is when you get there.
No doubt. Yeah, just to touch on that, man, with our Dream Chasers Tour, we started off in 2017. It was our first year. We had Julius Welshoff went to Michigan. We had Xavier Scott went to UConn. We had a few, it was like 10 of them that got scholarship from that. 8 of them got scholarship from that first tour. But like I said, I named a couple of bigger ones. But how you get invited to that tour is you show up to camps, and you perform, and you can get an invite that way. And the second way, which is a small percentage, but if I trust the coach that evaluated a kid and I trust that coach's evaluation, then you can get an invite that way. But the thing about us is we don't want to try to waste the kid money or our time. If you're not good enough, because it's a lot of, I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of schools out here, but we only strictly dealing with Division I. The reason I say that is because when you go Division II, Division III, that's when money's involved. You got to pay money. You're not really getting full scholarships. And my advice to most kids, you should stay at home and earn a free education and play football out here if you're good enough, the NFL, CFL to find you. But if it's just your dream to study in America, I'm not taking it away from you. But I can tell you, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm strictly on a Division I level. I mean, I hate to say it, but that's just the level with this free education. So if a kid don't get an invite, I don't mean I don't believe you're a good football player, but I just know what the coaches are looking for measurable-wise, academically, and other things. So I kind of be realistic about it. And just to speak about when you get an invite for the tour, as you said, that work don't stop. You should be going to hire a trainer to get better. I mean, first of all, you should be finding somebody you can trust, whether as a coach or not, to get your mental IQ up for this tour. And I mean, these tours is grueling, man. It's like 2 weeks of driving 5,000 miles, camp. Your body is exhausted. I mean, there's no, I mean, because I would say 60% of the kids come on our tour because they believe they can get a scholarship. 25% come for a vacation. I want to go shake Nick Saban's hand. I want to get Clint. I want to take a picture with a jersey on. At least 20 to 25%. And the other 10 to 15%, they don't have a clue. They don't know if they can make it, or they just don't know. So like I said, but I would rather that I don't have a clue. Maybe I can make it. Maybe I know. Than the guys that's coming for a vacation to put on the jersey, because they wasting a lot of time. They wasting other kids' opportunities.
Right, because I've seen there's, I believe, 5 episodes right now that you put up.
Yeah.
About the Dream Chasers tour, and you kind of see the way that you speak to them. What's also in terms of them understanding, like, okay, this is different now, because what I want to see from you guys is, are you guys going to clock in and earn it? Because I've seen you talk to them a certain way at the Dream Chasers tour through the videos, where you look at, you're trying to instill something in them, because it's also part of the process for you, right?
I mean, because to be honest with you, I believe in some of these kids more than they believe in themselves. So I don't want it to be like that. I'm happy I believe in them. And I done lost relationships because of them. Because if I feel like one of my kids don't get treated fairly at one of these schools, I'm willing to risk a relationship by telling this coach this is some BS or something. I mean, if you talk to any of our kids that came to the tour last year, they would tell you what I did for them, and I lost one of my biggest relationships because of them. Because if you're not gonna treat the kid fairly, I can't do business with you. Not money business, but I just can't trust it. I can't trust that you for the kids. But so they all know that I'm for them. But at the end of the day, man, it's only one side that's gonna be happy after the tour. The people that get the scholarships, you know what I mean? It's gonna be the other side say, he don't work hard for me. But I tell the kids, I'm just like a teacher. I like good students. I like good players. They like good students. I like good players.
Because that's the only way you're gonna put your name on them.
No doubt.
Plain and simple.
Absolutely.
No doubt. Like I said, we had the first 2 quarterbacks that ever landed scholarships. I mean, people said this. Like I'm gonna give you another example. It was another organization that I would say we rivals with, but I don't look at nobody as a rival. But it was another organization told one of our quarterbacks that he would never make it as a quarterback. And the kid was in tears and crying, and his coach came to me like, my player is in tears crying because so-and-so said that he would never, an American coach would never take a quarterback. So you know what I did? I believe the kid is talented, but I want to show that I can help you, and you know what I mean. So, and that's what happened.
That's what I want to ask. First of all, how big is the group you can take every year with to this Dream Chaser tour? And of course, you separate before, like, was what I want to say about the 2 quarterbacks. You talk before with coaches over there, like, hey, this is guys we have, and then of course. How was it for you to bring? I mean, people don't know how big this is. Normally, this should be on newspaper, on RTL, and Pros Deep and everywhere.
No.
The first German kids signed. They're not signed with a Division III college. They're signed with big name colleges. Quarterbacks.
But you know why? You know why it's not? Because it's an American over here that changed the eye. I mean,
You talked about it before. You said for the biggest impact or reaction you see is not in Europe; it's from the States.
It's not. I mean, I got Barton Simmons. I got what's my man? I got Andy Stable. I got Bruce Feldman calling me on the phone. These guys, millions of followers, they calling me about doing interviews. But so to answer your question, the first year we had 15 kids going to Dream Chasers Tour. That's when I first started. The second year we had 35 to 40. I don't know exact. Sorry, the second year we had 30. The third year we had 40. This year I was gonna take 100.
100.
You take 100.
100.
Really?
How are you doing this? How big is your staff?
It was gonna be two separate tours. One tour 50 for 2 weeks, another kid 50. I mean, you know, it was so much talent that you know what I mean?
Mary, this one of the kids is just, I mean, be at home, away from home, 9,000 miles away. We all know the strict rules about America when, you know, one of these knuckleheads open up a beer with 18 years old.
Man, I think these guys got so much respect for me.
Yeah.
That they would never do nothing like that. I mean, I think that they don't fear me as me gonna hurt them, but they fear this guy got my future in his hands. I'm gonna stay away from anything because they not coming. Like I said, I know I told you about that 15% that's coming there just for vacation, but they still got they still in their back of their mind hope he can get me to a school. So they're gonna have that respect. One kid, my first tour, I had a little, because he smoked a little, not any drugs or cigarettes. So I had a little trouble with that, but great kid though. Didn't have any problems with him, but that I would say that was one of the only things that I had. But overall, okay, I give you this. So I take that back. My last, not this past, 2 years ago, it was listen how kids can be. A lot of kids got scholarships for this tour. The last day, Rutgers wanted to see a kid, so I had to drive a kid 2 hours, and so I was so tired as I drove. So the other people, they was all leaving the next day. I was staying. So the other kids, I had a guy on that tour with me. I'm not gonna mention his name, but I would just say he took all these kids to New York City, which was in New Jersey, and I'm responsible for all these kids. I don't want these kids in New York City without me, so I came back. So what I did is I called somebody and said, I don't care how y'all get back, everyone better be back in this hotel within an hour. I mean, they all probably had to take 100-year-old Uber rides to get back. I'm talking about I was flipping out because, first of all, they didn't say bye. They didn't tell me anything. You know what I mean? Like I said, my only thought, man, you guys in New York City, if something happens to y'all,
it's on you.
Everything is falling on me.
Yeah,
so like I said, I was so pissed, man. But that'll never happen again because I'm briefing them all. But overall, man, the tours was amazing. I mean, it's a ton of work. To be honest with you, man. Like for that 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I probably sleep 3 hours a day, man. It's exhausting. Like literally, man. Like I'm on the phone with coaches all day. My adrenaline pumping even more than theirs to wake up to the next day and things like that, man. So it's very exhausting.
Right. It's awesome. It's awesome. And how you feel? What can be then the next level for, let's say, talk about these two quarterbacks? You think that can start on one point and be a German starting quarterback in college football, or?
Yeah. With the two quarterbacks, it was Luke Wentz. He went to Virginia. Also, people ask how a kid like that get a scholarship. A German quarterback, because he wasn't that good, and I mean, you hear that. I thought the reason I feel like he got a scholarship for 2 reasons. He was a special athlete, superior athlete, and So let's just say this, man. Let's just say this. I'm gonna explain something to you guys how the tour goes. So we went to Florida. So we took a drive from Virginia to Florida because coaches wanted to see somebody. So we went all the way to Florida. So Virginia called me, and they see we got a lot of talent because we visited there, but we didn't camp there. But in order for us to camp there, they wanted to give basically like, we're gonna offer you kids if you come back here and camp here. So I'm like, should we camp at Florida, camp at Virginia? So Virginia, the pressure's on you guys. If you want us to drive 12 hours back to Virginia, something's better happen. I mean, let's say that. I'm not making a threat, but if we drive in 12, 15 hours to come back to Virginia, which we was already at, we need something special to happen. So they got the gist of that, and Luke Wentz was that special something. And we got there. He had a great camp. He did very well. And so would he have got this scholarship for sure if we didn't go back? I don't know. Who knows? But like I said, it happened, and he's there on a full scholarship. So, and with Alexander Honing, same type of story. I would say, Alexander, he's been on 4 of our tours. I took him to the States 5 different times. Let's say that.
Wow.
Been on 3 Dream Chasers tours. We went to San Antonio together for All-Star game, and I took him on another tour to Texas in July. So that tells you his family is very dedicated. They're willing to invest money. It wasn't cheap to come on them tours. I mean, they probably spent $20,000, $30,000 all together for just to help him. So it's not easy, and it wasn't cheap. So we went to Baylor. He had a scholarship. So the UMass coach came to Germany, and Alex is a kid that's been very loyal to me and been very loyal to the process, his family. So my thought process was, I want to give this kid the best opportunity. So UMass quarterback coach comes here. Alex gets a scholarship. So he didn't get more scholarships. So he was thinking about committing to UMass. So my opinion, I thought he was a bigger talent than UMass. Although I went to UMass, and I love UMass dearly, but I think Alex's talent is really big time. So I called the coach at Baylor and said, Coach, man, I know y'all got a camp in July. Can you guys look at this kid one more time? So he called me back and said this: hey, if this kid comes here and do this, we're gonna give him a scholarship. So I talked to his parents and said, man, you gotta make one more investment. I wouldn't say I had to beg them. They trusted what I tell them. So we flew over. Him and his mom flew over. I flew over. So we actually we only was supposed to camp at Baylor, but I like the hustle. I like the grind. So I called TCU and told them Baylor's interested in this kid. Y'all rivals.
You are the man. When I need a house, I hire you.
Let's go. Listen, you guys are rivals. You don't want this special talent to take his butt to Waco. I'm gonna tell you that now. So the OC quarterback coach said, okay, we got to camp the day before Baylor camp. Okay, so it just worked out. So we was never supposed to go to TCU. So we ended up going to TCU, and I pretty much told the coach, or he kind of made it, he's not going to do anything physical as far as running and stuff because he got a big camp tomorrow that he's going to get a scholarship back. So the coach said, all I need to do him is to throw the ball. So Alex started freaking spinning the ball. And, I mean, he probably had one of his best days of throwing. And 3 hours later, they called him. We got a scholarship for you, Alex. And then the next day at Baylor, he came there. He got a scholarship from Baylor. But I think TCU offered him first, and he got that connect. Like, you know what I mean? It's all that first big offer means a lot for these kids. that's kind of how it worked. I mean, relationships, connections, and talent. You got to put them together to get something like that. I mean, he's a special talent, but can he go to TCU alone and get that scholarship? No.
And that's the
If
thing.
he
like,
didn't have that talent, can I get him a scholarship? No. So it goes together.
Like, that's the one thing I was gonna say is, like, I know the Hunting family very personally as well. And I know 100% the support they put into their kids and whatever they want to do. And a guy like Alex saying, you know, because he's the type of kid, he's gonna put in 110%. He's gonna trust the process, and he's gonna ride it. And it's funny what you said, like, you know, his mom came over with him. I mean, I forgot what camp it was one time where I ended up staying at their house before I came up then to the camp that we had. I think it could have been in.
Oh yeah, because you asked him. Yeah, I remember that.
And I remember, and actually, this kind of ties back to what we talked about before, where actually his dad asked me. This was like, I think 3 years ago, or maybe even 4. Asked me like a question, like point blank. He's like, "Are we doing a good job going with Brandon?" He asked me at the kitchen table. I forgot what I was eating. It was like at dinner time, and I'm like, "You put me on the hot seat right now?" I remember telling him straight up, I'm like, "Yeah." Because he's a guy who's not doing it for the money. Like you said, it's not only the connections and also having the talent and so forth, but it's also just tying back to the fact that, you know, what you're doing it, right? Why you're doing it. Because, like, even like guys I had in Marseille, right? Like you said, they hold a high regard for you. Got guys like Tyrone Simon, one of the up and coming kids who has interest. Like he's got some Kentucky coaches, Tennessee coaches, like hitting him up on Twitter and stuff. And anytime he talks about you, it's like, oh, like, you know, I can't let Brandon down, and I got to be ready for this and ready for that. You know, we kind of talked about the Dream Jets for, like, they're for the main goal. Like, yeah, they're kids, they're gonna make mistakes and so forth, but they have you where they're like, they understand. Okay, Brandon's gone through this whole process of helping out these other guys, and if I just literally, it's like, if you guys do the bare minimum of what Brandon tells you to do, you're gonna be fine. You could do more. But if you do the bare minimum what he asks, shit, you're set.
No doubt. I would honestly say to anybody watching as they're gonna watch this, no talented kid will be overlooked if I get in front of him. I mean, it won't happen again. Only how a kid will be overlooked is if somehow their coaches don't connect with me and just or not saying. There's other organizations that do a good job. I'm not trying to say that I'm the only person, but no one has the relationships and the connections that I have, and no one is doing it. No one is doing it from here like me. I mean, like, I have to be honest with you. No one is taking, like, this is everything for me. This, you know what I mean, it's no coincidence 61 kids get full scholarships. No, I mean, they not. And another thing is, they're not going to high school first, where these kids is coming directly from here. And the reason I did it, like, I could have sent all these kids to high school, but the reason I did it like that, because it's going to force coaches to come to Europe. It's going to force other coaches from Europe to get opportunities. Okay, this must be a good coach. This freaking kid going to Virginia. This kid going to Michigan. Who's coaching him?
Exactly.
If they went to American high school, no one would know about these European coaches ever. They would never have the credibility to. So that should be appreciated.
And I think that's something people overlook. I mean, we're talking about before. I was talking to Coach Sebastian. I'm like, I don't think people understand, like, at the end of the day, coaches in the States. So when they look at a guy, let's say like a guy like Gyro, right? Like a guy up and coming like Flamur Simon, right? And we talked about him. You got guys like Richard. You know, who's not going where? Eastern Michigan, right?
He's going to North Dakota.
North Dakota, sorry. Still green, though, right? Yeah, sounds close. No, but, like, they don't understand, like, the coaches, when they look at players like this, they're like, who in Europe is coaching these guys? You know, because they're not thinking this kid became that by his own. At some point, he had a coach. So when you got a kid like that coming in, like Richard, like Gyro, like Flamur, and they're testing positive and they look fucking good, like, that gives opportunities to coaches.
No doubt, man.
That chance to also jump to the States. Because even if it's like a simple internship or whatever it is, just to have that connection, or maybe one of their coaches says, you know what, I'll fly over in the off season and we'll hold a camp and I'll help you guys coach. Because that's one thing I saw. Like, for me off the bat, like just saying it, like a guy like Lamar Simon, for example, that in my honest opinion, and you kind of said this too, I think he's the biggest freak that's about to come out. I've never seen a kid who is 6'5", is his size, who can play literally like a boundary DN. He can play a single high safety. You can line up a fucking outside linebacker. He can lock you up. He can play Mike. He can do it all. He can play offense. He can play tight end. And when I saw him, I never thought, oh, I'm going to make money off this kid. I thought, hey, if this kid wants to go to college, I'll ask him. And then if he says yes, I'm putting him in touch with Brandon. That's what I did. And the kid writes me. He's like, thank you, Mele, for what you're doing. And for me, you know what? It was a simple text to you. Hey, check out this kid. Here's his film.
But still, he appreciate, because we, like I said, for example, like another kid from Serbia, his coach did the same thing. Now, this kid at IMG get an $80,000 scholarship at IMG. It's gonna never happen if you didn't have an ego and say, "Oh, I'm gonna do it on my own. I'm not gonna go." You know what I mean? Like things like that. Yeah. The ego don't play a role, man. So that's kind of where I'm at, man. Especially, I'm all for guys going to high schools that not get any development. If you can't get any development from your club team and your coaches just can't help you, then I'm all for that. I'm not against high schools, but I had to stand firm and strong because it wouldn't create what it is now if I had sent everybody to high school. And the last point on that I'm going to make is most of these, I would say 90 to 95% of kids that went to high school that got scholarships, there was already scholarship players in Europe if they would have stayed. But the European coaches would never get a credit for that because they had to go to the high school first to get their offer. But they was already talented enough.
No, you're right about that. I mean, and that's kind of one thing I kind of look at where also it's not only for me where, you know, now it's just mainly coaching football, but also trying to kind of tell coaches so they understand in programs to say, you know what, like, just so you guys understand, like, this isn't about forcing kids. Like, to be honest, like, you look at Hundig's situation, right? His brother, he doesn't want to go to the States. He's probably one of the better receivers I think that kid's going to be an all-star, European all-star. But he doesn't want to go to the States because why? He wants to, I think last thing he told me, he wants to be a teacher and just
he wants to study with his parents are teachers.
And he just wants to, you know, chill out here and live the European life. There's nothing against it. And that's why it goes back to conversations I would have with Jordan. Like, he would ask me, like, in the car, be like, so tell me about Brandon and this and that. And it's like, you know, we're like, even for me, like, we're not going out to telling these kids, like, hey, like, we're sending you to the States.
Right.
What do you want to do with football?
Right.
Do you want to go to the States or no? Because if you say no, I'm not going to keep forcing them to say, all right, whatever. But if you say, no, I really want to go and try to make a career out of this, you know, or at least, you know, try to get a scholarship.
Right.
Like you just said, you're literally going to move an ocean to try to get them one, you know? And that's the biggest thing. But the next thing I want to touch on real quick is, like you said, you're more geared towards D1s, right? And I don't know if you want to touch bases on this. I know you've been in contact with the NFL, CFL about possibly helping them in terms of a program. Because like you said, there are some guys that, let's say, they need a few more years, or let's get your education now because you're not ready. But maybe you're ready in 2-3 years to maybe go the pathway program route, because you know that now there's the NFL pathway. The CFL now is starting a product too in terms of their pathway program, also with the university system in Canada. Because like I had a few of my guys in France put on the CFL watch list, and there's that route as well. And I believe you're also tied in if you want to elaborate on that.
Yeah, I had a meeting with the NFL in New York City. I was leaving. It was like in October of 2019, just about 6-7 months ago. I met with them, and pretty much, I mean, they seen what I was doing in Europe, and they kind of wanted to pick my brain on how can they help European football, how can they find the top kids to get in this pathway program. So, I mean, I would say I earned enough of their respect to recommend kids. I'm not saying I can promise, okay, my kid's going there, but they would take serious interest in any kid that I send to them. The same thing with the CFL. If I recommended 2 kids for the CFL this year, and they both was in the combine in Toronto. They was both invited, and not saying that my word is everything for them, but it holds some weight in the credibility there. So, I mean, like I said, just like what you, Mele, man, if you reach out to me about a kid that's you think can go to the NFL, CFL, I'm going to make the call. I mean, that's just where relationships comes from, man. Trust. That's what I'm about.
Right. What is the end game in all this? What do you
Man,
think?
to be honest, that's something that I'm thinking about now that I got a lot of time. I can't sustain this level of, but that's what I spoke to you about, man. My goal is to get ambassadors all over the world, man, in every part, because one good thing is, man, it's guys like yourself and other guys that really knows what it takes, man, and that's all it's about. So my end goal is really to try to have ambassadors over the world that we can all come together and grow this together, man, because it shouldn't be kids missed out anymore, man. It shouldn't be that. And I kind of want to eliminate the people that's trying to benefit monetarily off the kids.
That's true. And I think that's something like, I mean, we all know this, just like what it took for you to get to this point, it's going to take time and also for people to understand and then trust on a whole. I mean, at least my goal talking to you right now, and us talking to you rather, is for people to get more insight on you. I feel like a lot is lost in translation sometimes.
Right.
And like that at the end of the day, what are people's true intentions? At the end of the day, like, we're humans and we tend to do what? We read books, you know, especially like people. And that's the thing where I hope that at the end of the day, people start understanding on a wider scale that at the end of the day, if we all work together in this and we all have basically the best interests of the players at heart and it's not our pockets, right, then it's going to move that way. Because like you said, you're trying to have ambassadors. And I know other people that are in it to help out the kids. They're not in it for money because they're literally getting no money out of it. If anything, you know, those people, and we're out there, like when I go to here, like we're or at least before when I was making practically nothing, we're spending our hard-earned money just to take a train up there, figure it out, or take a blah blah card, you know, whatever we got to do to help out these kids. Because I remember the first camp I went out there, it was in
Darmstadt, wasn't it?
Darmstadt, yeah. And I remember going out with Chris Azalea, who now lately played with the Baltimore Ravens. But I remember sleeping on
I had
Shores.
Shores, yeah.
Me and Chris, and then Lawrence, who now plays in the GFL. We slept on his couch.
Yeah, I remember.
You know, and people don't understand. It's like shit. Like everybody was grinding.
Everybody was grinding, man. Like I said, I mean, that's the sad part, man, in this whole thing, man, that I sometimes, I'm not saying I'm in physical tears, but I'm inside in tears. Like, why are people not like me? And the only thing I'm trying to do is help people out here. You got a lot of, I mean, we all say we shouldn't care what people think, but you know, we all human. And you look back like, damn, I worked so hard to help somebody, and you get people to talk bad about me for no reason. But like I said, my last thing on that is, I mean, I even had kids that was working with me that stopped working with me because they couldn't get a Division I scholarship. I'm going with this organization. Okay. What can this organization do that I couldn't? I don't understand. Right. Yeah. They promise you what? Like, so it is what it is.
It is what it is.
What I like to say is sports, and this is why we all love sports, is about numbers, you know. And in sports, college, European scholarships, your number is the highest.
No, you know? What they say, men lie, women lie, numbers don't, man.
Exactly. Numbers don't lie. And for all the kids out there, it's really, if you, like Brandon say, if you want to make a vacation trip, this is not for you. But if you want to be a Division I scholarship player, and this is what European kids don't understand, it's what costs a scholarship at Alabama. How much you have to pay for it. And you get it for free, and you play in front of 100,000 spectators. And you finish Alabama, you get a job. You get a job who brings you everywhere you want. So this is what you bring on the table, and this is why I was quiet today, because I love to listen to you, because this is just like, I think we can keep that for 3 more hours. Yeah. And it's really 61 scholarships. This is not coming from, we do this half-gas. It's really coming from heartbeat, 24/7.
Thank you, man.
I love to see what you're doing, and I appreciate what you're doing. And if I have a kid one day, I hope you still.
Thank you, man.
No, I mean, I couldn't have said it better. And this is coming from a guy who ended up having to go JUCO and then got hurt and then went private school. And I was lucky that I had good grades to where, you know, they gave me more money.
Right.
And I only paid like $700 a month. And for a lot of people out here, they're like, that's a lot. And I'm like, my tuition was $50,000 a year.
Right.
And I was paying $700 a month. So, you know, if you can't afford that, and you're talking to Brandon, it's like, well, really? I mean, come on. But I appreciate you a lot. I mean, you mean the world to me. You know, you're also, like I said, you're a guy that helped me get to where I am just because of, like we talked about, you know, it's good having good people around you that are hungry. And I appreciate you taking the time, especially out of your day, because it's family time right now with your son since he wants to play with the computer.
Yeah, man.
Podcast. Okay.
No, man, appreciate what you guys doing, man. Spreading the word, man. If you guys need something from me, I told you, Mele, man, anything for you, brother.
Appreciate it. All right. God bless. And
all right, y'all, man. God bless, man. Be easy.
Bye-bye.